The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everyone, co-host Corey here. I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Without you, Podcasting After Dark would not be possible. If you would like to help the show grow, please consider signing up at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. You can also support the show by purchasing one of our awesome t-shirt designs on our merch store at podcastingafterdark.com, or by picking up a copy of 7 Winters Alone by David Irons on paperback, hardback, or Kindle. Just search for 7 Winters Alone on Amazon or click on the link in the show notes. A free way to help out is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Those reviews are huge for us and really helps get the show in front of new listeners. Again, thank you all so much for the love and support you've given us over these past few years. It really means the world to us.
Welcome to our Patreon exclusive interview series for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Tonight's interview is with the star of The Warriors, John Carpenter's The Thing, actor, singer-songwriter, and teacher, Thomas G. Waits. Thomas G. Waits, thank you so much for being on Podcasting After Dark, the man. And I want to officially say we are recording this a day after your birthday. So
that's right. I turned
birthday.
66 yesterday. Isn't that
Happy
amazing?
birthday.
Oh, what a great birthday I had too. It was just terrific. I can't imagine having a better birthday. I got $600 from Donald Trump. I'll leave that political opinion aside because I can't stand him.
Well, ditto, but you know.
I got beautiful flowers sent to me by my ex-wife and my children.
Oh, nice.
I got a beautiful card from my son. I had a 2-hour Zoom session with my family.
That's great.
Where I played them a couple songs on the guitar.
Oh, cool.
And Lisa, my ex-wife, played Happy Birthday on the ukulele. Then I ran 4 miles outside around the park, which was great.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm about to do that when we conclude here. I'm trying to do it every day, at least for working my way back up to 6. But I had COVID, in March.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, really badly. I mean,
wow.
I felt like I went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson with 103 fever.
Oh,
wow.
Shit.
Oh, I'm really glad you're okay now.
Yeah, thanks. So it took me a long time to get my wind back. So I run really slowly, like 11-minute miles.
Sounds like me. And I don't have COVID.
10 years ago, I could do 7.5-minute miles, but now I'm really slowly working my way back because running, I feel, keeps me in mental as well as physical condition. But more than that, it brings me good luck. It gets me more acting jobs. And most of all, it's just so hard. And if you can get that out of the way, then the rest of the day is like a piece of cake,
Have you been a runner your whole life?
Well, I didn't in the beginning, but when I was around 23, 22, I realized, it's really important that it's kind of the job description. If you want the camera on your face and your body, you probably better take care of yourself. So I studied karate for a long time, but I've always been running commensurate with the karate I would run because you had to do a lot of what they call kumite fighting, full contact fight. So they would say run a mile for each round, and sometimes we'd have to go 6 or 8 or even 10 rounds, for motion. So
wow.
Yeah, so I've always kept up on that. I of course wish I could do more, but there's so many other things to do in my life. I run TGW Acting Studio, um, eh, directing a screenplay that I wrote this spring. I'm raising the money for the screenplay. I'm still auditioning as an actor. I'm a director. I'm a songwriter and singer and musician, as you know, Zach. I
Yep.
sent you some of my stuff. And so I'm a busy guy, and I don't always get as much time as I'd like.
I want to talk about your music today, first and foremost, but the fact that you are running 4 miles and you had COVID is very inspirational, I think, for many people who are going to listen to this, for people that have had COVID or people that are,
Afraid of getting it
yes.
because your lungs, your, you know, Wim Hof is a great inspiration for all this. If you keep your lungs malleable and flexible, then the virus can't get, like, the virus attacked from the head down and from the feet up, but it stopped somewhere in my lungs. And my
Mm,
doctor was like, look, if it gets into your lungs, you got to go in the hospital.
yeah.
But all that, basically get out of breath as much as you possibly can. That's the key.
Okay.
That's what keeps your lungs flexible, and that's what fights. And then your immune, because it's connected to your immune system. Your breath is connected to your immune system, and your immune system, as any doctor will tell you, is your best defense against COVID.
Yeah.
So I strongly recommend it, whether you're 66 or 16. Get out there and run, dance, yoga, Pilates, whatever gets you out of breath. I recommend doing that.
Do you also do yoga too with
No,
it?
I
No.
don't. I don't do anything except run and stretch and do push-ups and sit-ups, and I take ice baths every morning from my ankles
Oh,
down.
okay.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, I had arthritis, really serious arthritis, and I went to the doctor, and they're like, "Look, you don't have any cartilage in your toe joints. We're gonna have to remove your toe joints and replace them." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, and it's the most painful of all the replacements." I went, "You know what? There has got to be deal with this than, getting your body chopped up. There just has to be a better way. I don't believe these doctors." And he showed me the x-rays, and it would have cost a fortune, even with health insurance, and I would have been hobbling around. Oh, oh, oh. So then I got turned on to Wim Hof around 2017, and his breathing exercises and exposure to cold and positive mental attitude cured not only my arthritis, but I was also terribly afflicted with depression.
Hmm.
I was
Yep.
taking the maximum dose of antidepressants. I just became like a zombie. I stopped feeling. I mean, I wasn't depressed, but I certainly wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And this guy is amazing, Wim Hof. You can look him up. There's tons of research. It's all scientifically based, and you can change your life. You can change your whole deal.
Yeah, I saw he's there's like a mini documentary on Netflix, and say what you will about her, but Gwyneth Paltrow has it's like a series on Netflix, and she sent her crew of the people that work at Goop or whatever they are out to go uh, do like a workshop with him and profiled him, and it was
Really
fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing breath work. I've been doing yoga since I was 22 years old. My
good
brother
for
broke his
you.
neck, and yoga's what saved his life and kept him from being paralyzed. Um, and we swear by the breath and swear by the body movement. And Corey and I, off the air, were just talking about herbal supplements and things you can put in your body that are not
That's right.
pharmaceutical.
That's
And
right.
that Corey was even saying is like, I think the pharmaceutical company hopefully is on its last legs because what it's doing to people is the complete opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and young kids today, as soon as you have trouble in school, the first thing they do is go, here's a prescription for
Yeah.
Adderall. which is
Yep.
basically speed.
Yeah.
Okay, we did it when we were kids in the streets of Philadelphia to stay up all night and party. Nothing could be worse for you than speed. I don't know how any doctor could sign off on that medication with a clear conscience, and yet they do.
Yep.
They push those pills. A friend of mine has a 16-year-old daughter. Well, she's not doing so well in math. Here you go. A friend of mine has a daughter in college. Well, she's having trouble with biology. Here you go. The whole campus is on freaking Adderall.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a solution? This is not a solution. This is exacerbating the
Yeah.
problem and making a lot of very rich motherfuckers
Totally.
richer.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I remember reading a couple years ago, a school, I don't remember where it was, they were trying meditation during the detention after school, and they were getting great results,
Yep.
with that. And I'm with you guys. I discovered the awesomeness of learning to pay attention to your breathing, like 5 years ago. And even now, sometimes I'll feel like I'm getting anxious. I'm like, am I breathing? Oh, no, I'm not. Let me, you know what I mean? Like, you don't realize how much you stop breathing, So yeah. I fully recommend all of that too. And take away all the Adderall. Take away. We don't need it. I'm sure there's like 1%. I'm sure there is a necessary need for it, but not this much.
Maybe they found one person that
Yeah.
had ADHD and it had a calming effect on him.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that person because I don't believe a word of it.
Yeah.
But they know they're going to make a fortune because, once you get that buzz on, I mean, you can drink more, you can stay up later, you can, do your homework all in one night and party the rest of the week. It isn't just bad for you. Over a period of time, it turns you into a freaking monster. I mean, I had this friend who was this sweet, quiet guy from Philadelphia. He was a carpenter, humble. We used to jam together. Yeah, we'd smoke some pot once in a while, hang out, have a few drinks. He's been on that shit for 20 years, and I'm telling you, this is not a human being.
Yeah.
He is so full of this over exaggerated sense of himself. Like Trump. I think he's on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably.
How else could you consciously do the stuff that he does?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got blood on his hands. And those Republican enablers have blood on their hands. And Fox News, they have blood. Those people are dead, man. They're not wounded. They took lives in the name of what? It's all falsification of the truth.
Yep.
62 courts reject you, and you say just because that's like me saying, "Oh, Zach, I know you're married with children, but you're gay."
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But I say you are. Therefore, just because you say it doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
You could say anything. I could say I'm Eric Clapton. I'm not. It is really this whole fake news, and there is a truth, okay? There is a truth, and the more we embrace the truth, the better we become. It's painful, sure. Do I wish I were a more successful actor? Yeah. Do I wish I hadn't gotten fired from the Warriors? Yeah. Do I wish I had stopped drinking at 29 instead of 49? Yeah. But that's not the truth. The truth is, it simply is. And the great thing about being an actor or a performer is you have to be in the present with the truth, or you're not going to be very interesting to watch. You just aren't. You got to be in the moment. We call it being in the moment. You're either in it or you're not. That's the truth.
I love that you're in the moment with us right now, sharing
Thank
this,
you.
because honestly,
Nice to
we could have opened up, and we will cover some of the movies and television you've been in, because we're huge fans, obviously. But I think what's important is breaking it down and saying, look, this is the human side. This is the real side to what we all want to get to. This is the truth, that this world we live in is not a fantasy. And unlike some people that are living in it right now thinking it is. And I was
And
telling my
drugs and
son,
alcohol do that.
yeah, they do. They do. I told my son, I said, the villains you see in the cartoons you love are actually have more morals and more values than some of the people that are running our country right now.
That's right.
And I think we've all had, speaking personally, had people in my life that have had substance abuse problems, and some had gotten over it, some didn't, unfortunately. And you hope that there's more cases like yours where you were able to overcome and break through those demons, and look at yourself now saying, okay, after this I'm going to go run 4 miles versus going I'm going to go shoot up, or whatever.
The hardest thing I have ever done. For me, my drug of choice was alcohol. For me to get through a day without a drink was a miracle. I couldn't walk by a bar 17 years ago. I couldn't. But one day at a time, with the grace of God and the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been able to put together 16 and a half years without a drink. I haven't done much right, but I did that right. I didn't
Well, we're not
drink.
perfect, We're not perfect, and
No,
I tell my son that every day. There's no such thing as perfect.
that's right.
You get up every morning, you do the
You
best
try.
you can. Yeah, and you try.
That's all you do is try. The only thing you can be sure of in life is if you do nothing, nothing will happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I firmly believe that. Yes.
Yesterday I was working out, and I said to my son, I really don't want to work out today, And I said there are days when I get up and I just don't want to do anything. I just want to sit there like a slug. And I said, but you can either be the slug that someone eventually steps on and crushes and kills, or you can be the cricket that gets up and jumps every now and then,
That's right.
to avoid the. And he's like, I want to be the cricket. And I said, me too. I said, you want to work out with me? He goes, no. I said, okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
No. I love this kid.
He's a smart kid.
Yeah, right.
He knows.
You talked him all the way into it, then no.
Nah.
so
You go do that, Dad.
Yeah. You go be the cricket, Dad.
But getting back to what you were saying earlier about, I want to talk about your music. And, this has been, obviously we shared off air, that you feel very passionate about your music, your songs that you've written or performed on. And has music always been a part of your life?
It's a really interesting story because...
And that's why you're here to tell it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of interesting stories. I am going to write a book someday.
You better.
I, was a student at Juilliard in the 70s, mid 70s, and Juilliard is the greatest school for music in the world. So I was stone tone deaf. Okay, you could play an E flat on the piano, and I would sing anything but an E flat. So I got cast in a play by this great Russian director from the Moscow Art Theater, Boris Tumarin. And it was a play called The Lower Depths. And in it, I had to play the guitar and sing the song. A very difficult song to sing. I mean, the sun rises and sets, and my cell is dark and dreary. Difficult. I had to play the guitar and sing that song. And I go, listen, I don't play the guitar and I don't sing. I can't do either. And he goes, oh no, you must. And I go, but I can't. I've never picked up a guitar in my life and I can't sing. I'm tone deaf. So he goes, you must learn. So I went out with $25 of your money and I bought a guitar, an old Epiphone. And I mean, if you wanted a party cleared, you'd ask me to play. Okay. I was so bad, it wasn't fun. But I'm an extremely tenacious individual. So I would, in the stairwells at Juilliard, sit there. I'd get, these great musicians to tune my guitar for me. There were no tuners then. And I learned, and by the time that production went up, I sang that freaking song, and I sang it well, and I led the entire company, and I played it perfectly. But that was how I got into music was, I was forced to play a role. And then, then I left. I got kicked out of Juilliard, actually, even though they say I'm a graduate because it helped them. I don't know. It, then I started getting cast in roles where I had to sing a lot. So I just kept up with the guitar and the singing and kept going. And then I found out I had, I don't know if you want to call it a gift, a propensity. I can write a song. I know how to write songs. I don't know if they're great songs. I think some of them are good. Audiences seem to enjoy them when I perform them, especially with my band. Um, I'm no Bruce Springsteen, but I have a gift and I have the discipline and the desire to. I am a decent rhythm guitar player and I'm a good lyricist and I write some good melodies. So I believe if you're given a gift, you have a responsibility to exploit it.
No doubt. Yep.
And I love my music. I mean, I have written so many songs, man. It's just it's like almost like I get possessed by like you saw the song I wrote for my friend Clark.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, yeah.
His death, real Clark Middleton, a great actor on Twin Peaks, Kill Bill 2. I mean, the list goes on. Blacklist. And this was a guy afflicted with severe arthritis.
Mm.
So one could even say that he was physically challenged. Well, he was one of my oldest and dearest friends coming up, and his death was it. It just came out of nowhere, and it hit me so hard. And what do you do with those feelings? So I sat down and I wrote Clarky, and I think it's a really nice song. Maybe you can play it for your fans sometime.
Yeah, we're actually gonna play a little clip of it right now.
He was a man like no other, responsibility, second nature. He had a talent, a golden power. A man of his size, he wielded stature. He was my friend, he was my brother. Came up in New York City together. Clarky was a man you would remember. Clarky was a man like no other. Clark, you know I'm gonna miss you. Clark, you know I'm gonna miss you. Clark, you know I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you real bad.
I'm quite proud of it.
As you should be, because it's not just that song, but the fact that you walked into something terrified, forced to do it in a way.
Yeah, right.
And here it has become your passion.
Yeah.
And you continue to do it today.
Yeah.
Obviously, acting, and I think our audience specifically will know you from certain genre roles, but you have such a much more expansive career as a musician, as a teacher, as an influencer of life. I mean, the fact that, and I know I keep going back to it, but the fact that you have overcome these demons in your life,
Yep.
and you're here to tell us about it,
Yep.
and so forthcoming and truthful, speaks volumes, I think, for your integrity and character.
Thank you.
And I think, stuff like that's important because I, as an artist growing up, visual artist, I always labored under the assumption that if you had no musical ear at all, like I don't, and you didn't at first, I always assumed you could never pick up music. But it's nice to hear that no, it's, and because no one ever told me when I was younger, but no, it's like, no, you can still pick up music. You can still learn how to do anything. You don't have to have that innate, but I'm sure you do, but it's nice to actually hear that you can actually pick things up even if you don't have that particular skill set right away. And as an artist, it's nice to hear those things as well.
You can do anything in this life with two things: desire and discipline.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing stopping you is you. No matter what it is, if you want to be the president of Chase Manhattan Bank, which sounds revolting to me, but
Hey,
Yeah.
you set your sights on that and you take the necessary steps, and even if you don't get there, as we mentioned before, as long as you try, the only sin is in not trying. How will you ever know if you don't try?
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
if I ended up not doing Annie Get Your Gun in 7th grade, which I really didn't want to do, then I probably wouldn't be here today, I guess. So unfortunately, I have to thank my theater
So there
teacher
you
for
have
that.
it.
Ah, man, I missed out. I wasn't in theater in school. I was one of the AV kids, of course, but
Oh,
not the
yeah.
of course, but not
Techie,
theater. Yeah, yeah.
But speaking of doing things that push you out of your comfort zone or put you in a difficult position. When I was a kid and I saw the Warriors for the first time as a kid, as like a 6-year-old kid, I think I was, and that movie changed my life. Obviously, didn't know the story of what had happened to you on set, but outside of that lens, always appreciated and loved your character to this day.
Thank you.
And I even wrote a note I write these notes to my son, these lunch notes I do every day. I've been making them since he was 2 years old, or 18 months actually, going to preschool. And then I'll insert my own characters that I admire, and then I talk about something motivational. They're always little motivational notes, and I threw the fox in there the other day, and he's like, hey, he's cool. I said, yeah, he's a warrior of peace. Trying to keep the peace. And obviously, 40 plus years have gone by, and that film, you've been able to reconnect in a way, right?
Well, it was a sad story. I mean, I was a big pain in the ass to the director, and also I wasn't doing good work as an actor, and that led him to conclude, I got to get rid of this guy. He was under a lot of pressure, from the studio and over budget and behind schedule, and I guess his last two movies hadn't done as well as he would have liked, so he was under enormous strain, and I just did whatever wrong thing you could do, I did, and pissed the guy off so much that he was just like, I don't want you to come back. And that was very painful for me. And, it forced me to get into psychotherapy, which helped. It forced me to study karate for 10 years, which gave me a sense of discipline.
Totally.
But then, they sent me the movie and said, where do you want your name? Because I was supposed to be above it was supposed to be Thomas Waits in the Warriors. And now obviously I was still in it, but not, the lead. And I was still, I was 23, 24 years old. I was an arrogant prick. And I said, take my name off the movie. I wanted to like get them back, for firing me.
Wow.
And that just shows, immaturity. It shows the mind of an active alcoholic, a vengeful person, with insidious intent, and that always comes back to haunt you, and I really regret that, and I've tried to make amends with Walter, and tried to forgive myself for it, which is the most important part. But I'm glad the movie went on and was a big success for a lot of people. It's helped me. I mean, people even say to me, well, don't you feel like some guy's writing a book about the Warriors, some English dude, and he called me a couple weeks ago, and he's like, well, don't you feel like a hypocrite? I mean, you go to these autograph signings and you sign autographs for a movie that you took your name off, and I go, yeah, I do feel like a hypocrite, but it beats pushing dirt. And if you had two kids, you'd understand what I mean, pal.
Far greater tragedies in life than
Yeah, they're
you know.
far. And plus, 90% of the fans are also fans of the thing.
Of course,
So
yeah.
that's a legitimate deal. And I love to meet the fans. I love to meet the people. Look, I'm lucky to have one fan, let alone hundreds and hundreds maybe even thousands all over the world, you know, because I've been to Germany and England, and you know, it's great to meet them, and I always try to really give them a moment, you know, like take a mental photograph with them to acknowledge my gratitude that they've enjoyed my work. I work hard, but you know, of course, I do it for the audience. You know, what I do for the audience.
Clearly,
Yeah.
clearly. I mean, I know, speaking personally, and I know Corey will chime in a moment, but the phrase "fuck you, Palmer" will always be stuck in my head. That is by far my favorite line. Hey, fuck you, Palmer.
we say that all the time,
That's
back and forth to
hysterical.
each other.
It's a love note. It's a love note.
Yeah,
My
it's
son is
funny.
not hearing this, by the way. So
Yeah.
That's good. It's funny because you know, I named myself Window.
you
Like,
did.
you know, the character's name originally was John Sanchez.
Oh.
Then John Carpenter and Kurt Russell had seen me in American Buffalo the night before with Al Pacino, so they brought me into audition. They cast me, and I flew to LA, and then they changed the guy's name to John Simmons because I obviously don't
You're
look
not
like
Sanchez.
Sanchez. I'm about as Irish and Scottish as they come. So one day I was walking down the boardwalk in, you know, Venice, and I picked up these green sunglasses, and I wore them into rehearsal, and I rehearsed with them on.
Nice.
And I said to John, "Hey John, I want everybody to call me Windows from now on." With the glasses, and he goes, "It's a drag on a cigarette." Okay. You guys, Tommy wants everyone to call him Windows, so that's his name from now on. And Palmer fucking hated it.
Oh, really?
David Clement. I didn't know this at the time. He never told me, but I saw an interview with him, and he's like, "What kind of a random, stupid? It's got nothing to do with anything. I mean, you decide if you like it. I guess it's okay, but I did. I had no idea, and I love David. He's a great actor,
Yeah, yeah.
but he did not like it, and so that "fuck you, Palmer" happened right around, you know, like the tension had been building between the two of us, and I didn't know what's this asshole so pissed off at me for, and well, fuck you, Palmer, you know.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, he's a very successful, talented actor, David Clement. Very talented. You know, Yale School of Drama. I mean, he's a real formidable presence on screen and on stage, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. You know, and well, first of all, I'm a big fan of G.I. Joe, and I see they've got random names, Snow Job and Snake Eyes, and you know, my son's like, "Why is he called Snake Eyes?" I'm like, "I don't know." So Palmer Windows works for me.
Yeah.
You had sunglasses on.
I think it really makes, and plus, what in the name of God are you doing wearing sunglasses in Antarctica?
Well, you were
I mean,
cool.
It's Windows, man.
It was cool. It was like, it was the one, you know, if you notice, he's reading like movie magazines.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted to be a movie star. You know, I mean, that was the logic I had created for the character, that he wanted to, once he got out of the Navy or whatever the fuck they were in, he was going to move to Hollywood and become, you know, Brad Pitt. In his mind, you know.
Well, you know what Richard Pryor used to say, right? If you wear your sunglasses indoors, you're an asshole.
I didn't know that.
So my wife,
I did
you know,
not know that. That fits so perfectly.
my wife's gonna hate me for this, but I used to tell her that line. She's like, "I like to wear sunglasses inside." I'm like, "No, not you."
Not anybody but
You,
you.
not everyone except you. Huh?
Yeah, you're the exception to that rule.
You're not an asshole.
Well, but it's cool because those things that you brought to the character and created. I mean, we all like, you know, you talk online and everything, and Windows, yeah, Windows, yeah. Everyone loves freaking Windows, man.
It's so
It's
great.
Windows. Like, there's no other. I can't even
I
think of
mean,
that
imagine
character.
if his name
Yeah,
was John.
nothing else, man. It's always Windows, bro. Like all my, and even my friends who aren't like, crazy horror movie people or anything like that, they're all like, oh, I know Windows from the Thing. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Wait, wasn't he also in the Warriors? Yeah, Fox. Yeah, that guy. But like Windows, everybody freaking knows Windows. It's great. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I think that an actor has to have an imagination,
Yeah.
You look at the great actors like Marlon Brando, on the waterfront, you know, he's playing a boxer, and he has that scene with the girl where she drops her glove and he picks it up and puts it on his hand. And, you know, he's a boxer. Of course, he's used to putting gloves, like like nobody directed him to do that.
No.
That's just his imagination connected to his subconscious that is free. And that's what great acting is it's it's freedom. Connect to your subconscious mind so you can reach the subconscious mind of your audience. Sorry, I
And
don't.
so John Carpenter let you kind of explore these things with Windows then.
That's right. John is a great director. I mean, he's a great director because he creates a great atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah,
loves his
totally.
actors, and he's not
Clearly.
sitting there going, he's relaxed and he's having fun. He lets us have fun. He lets us experiment, and you know, he's just he's one of the best directors I've ever worked with, and primarily because he's just such a good person. A good director is a good person, and I know I've been directed by some real pieces of shit. Manipulative,
Wow.
cunning, just trying to fuck the leading actress, just trying to, manipulate. And yeah, that's not a director. A director is a leader. A director is a mentor.
Yeah.
You know, John's one of the best. John Norman Jewison, a director by the name of Robert Ackerman. He mostly is a stage director. A director who is long since dead, a black director from Trinidad named Dennis Scott. These are great directors. These are guys that have a vision of what Walter Hill's a great director. He's more of you know, a film. He's not really an actor's director by his own admission, but he's a great film director. He has a vision for the film of how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't fit into that vision, which I do, as I mentioned, regret. I have remorse. I don't have regret. I had to do it. I had to make those mistakes, but I feel remorse. Remorse is healthy. If you don't have remorse, you'll never change. But regret is useless. Nothing I can do now. It's 42 years ago. You know what I mean? I can apologize and say, can I do anything to make up for the harm I caused you?
Yeah.
And then that's it. Then let it go, and it's up to the sun and the moon and the stars to take care of it after that. We all make mistakes. All of us in every profession.
Yeah.
Not one person alive. If you don't make mistakes, you're not human.
Yeah.
It's learning how. The only prejudice I have is making the same mistake twice.
Hmm.
I bet.
That's not cool.
But I also, I mean, it's so important to have like your voice like talking about this, because so many people just, yeah, I never made a mistake. No, I'm infallible. No, we don't want to talk about it. But we all learn. We all learn as a society and as a species from each other's mistakes if we're willing to listen. But what's most important is that the person who made the mistakes is like, hey, guys and gals, here's what happened. I'm going to tell you. Hopefully you can learn from it. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge, because there's not a lot of people in the world who will admit it and take
Right.
it to heart and try to actually make society better from their experiences.
Yeah, if I could help one person from avoiding the suffering that I self-inflicted self-inflicted demise that I created in my life, then the whole deal is worth it. Some kid listening to this goes, you know what, maybe I'm gonna say yes. Maybe I'm gonna, be a little more kind or a little more gentle. Because I was a poor kid, basically sleeping on park benches, and then literally, and then all of a sudden, I was making a lot of money and I didn't handle it well. It went to my head and I started to believe my own, it wasn't good. It's not good. Always remain humble and grateful. If you're grateful, you'll be humble. If you're humble, you'll be grateful. And if
Yeah.
you're those two
It's
things, not
it's
too much bad stuff is going to happen to you. And bad stuff's going to happen to
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, and it happens to a lot of young musicians too. They
Sure.
fall. You get a lot of money real quick, and it's
Oh
like
man.
all of a sudden, and that's tells you, like, that'll show you what your moral fortitude is going into the situation, how you handle all of this success and fame and everything.
She could drink you under the table, Johnny Walker Red or Black Label. She was always the life of the party. She could dance, a soul train artist. She was the first one to wear a bikini. She must have only been 14 then. She broke all of the rules that they gave her. Let me tell you something, they never broke her. Because my sister was always a fighter with a mean right cause. My sister was always a fighter that never lost. She had her crosses to bear, but her children always had nice things to wear. My sister was always a fighter.
Besides acting, singing, songwriting, and performing, you've also been teaching for quite a while, right? And obviously, that's another passion of yours.
I really love teaching. It isn't, it's like my music. It isn't like, oh, I got to teach. I get into it, man. And I have a lot of experience, obviously, and I'm great, the best training in the world from Juilliard, and I'm a master of Shakespeare, but I can do Shakespeare very well and teach it well. But I have them doing breathing exercises, and I was talking about it, and this one young, rather attractive woman in the class says, over Zoom, obviously, it's amazing you should say that. She said, because in the beauty magazines now they're saying oxygen is what keeps your skin young.
Yes.
And, I'm not surprised at all. Of course, oxygen and water, which we're doing our best to destroy.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, that's one of the benefits of this pandemic. And people think it's just such a horrible thing, and it is being locked up all the time. It's a drag, and you can't go to restaurants, you can't meet anybody, you can't go to plays, can't go to movies, my favorite things. But Mother Nature is going, time out.
Yep.
You've poisoned the ocean. There's a chunk of plastic the size of Texas in the Pacific Ocean. What you've done to the air with the chemicals and worse than all of those things, this virus came from wet markets in China. Wet markets are where they, chop the heads off of live bats and boil them, and the blood gets intermixed with chopping the nuts off of a gorilla because they think it's going to make them live. And all the blood intermixed.
Yep.
And the virus sprang out of that intermingled blood in the dirt and glommed onto a human, and it hasn't stopped since. Message, universe, don't eat meat.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need meat. And whoever thinks they do, but I like it. Look, I haven't eaten meat in 43 years.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And I feel great. I never get sick. I never have colds.
Totally. I
Well,
tell you.
I mean, it's proof in the pudding. You overcame COVID at 64, I believe you said? 65, 65, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
There you go. I'm one of the, and there's a lot of people that aren't so lucky, and I'm so sad for them. You guys are in LA, right?
Yeah. Well, Corey's in Oregon, and I'm in Santa Monica.
Yeah, and it's a different story up here in Oregon than LA, but yeah. And then I'm actually
better in Oregon.
Yeah, a bit better. But I'm actually originally from the East Coast, Maryland, so close to Philly and everything, and hence my Baltimore Ravens cap. But my mom's still there, so yeah.
Go Ravens.
Yeah.
LA's a mess right now, and my
awful.
wife and I have been relatively vegan for the past several years, and I've already noticed a major difference.
Major difference. I mean, even if you just don't eat meat, I mean, if you eat cheese and eggs and milk and stuff, I mean, even that's okay. But
Yeah.
leave these poor animals alone. You ever look at a cow? How
Yeah.
could you kill some? They're so sweet. They emanate such peace, and we're slitting their throats and chopping their heads off for a steak. We don't need to. It's bad
No.
for the environment, right? It's bad for our karma, if you ask me.
Oh, totally. Well,
You
some
know.
cultures believe the cow is sacred, right? So,
Absolutely, for a reason. That didn't come out of nothing.
and I showed my son Charlotte's Web years ago when he was 3, and there's the joke in the film when in the live action one where they're cooking bacon right after Fern saves Wilbur, and my wife and I laugh, and Bodie, my son, he's like, why are you laughing? And I told him the joke, and he's like, oh, pig is bacon? I go, yeah. He goes, I don't want to eat it anymore. And I said,
Good
okay.
for him.
And then from that point on, we all stopped. And, and then the cow's the same deal. Octopus, the same deal. When we realized how intelligent an octopus is.
They're super smart.
Yeah. And there's that documentary right now on Netflix.
The
Octopus Teacher.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Octopus Teacher, I think it's called.
It's
And
one scientist that studied an octopus for years, and all the crazy stuff that he discovered, that they can
They become
do and
friends.
everything. Yeah, it's really
Are
cool.
you serious?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's worth checking out because then it just shows you that these sentient creatures, you know, it's why? Yeah. Impossible burgers.
When you don't need to. If you eat grains and beans and rice, they grow back.
Yeah.
You're not harming anyone. It grows back. You're not killing it. It doesn't have a mother.
No. And I'll tell you, the technology they have now,
They can make
it
steak
tastes just like it.
that tastes just like it, and you don't have to harm a thing.
Right?
I've eaten one of those Impossible Burgers. I can't tell the difference at all.
They're great.
Yeah,
They're
they're
great.
fine. They're fine.
They're delicious.
They sell them at Burger King, so
Yep.
what do you want?
Yep.
But I was gonna say, you brought up your acting school.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about that. How long have you been running your acting? How long has it been going on?
Yeah, it's interesting. I never had any intention of being a teacher. I never thought of myself as a teacher. But the strange thing is, when I was young and going from play to play to movie to movie to play to movie, everyone would come up to me and say, hey, would you watch my scene and tell me what you think is wrong with it? Or
Yeah.
what? And so I'm a nice guy, like, sure, I need to watch the play anyway, and see where I fit in. And I would give them notes, and I would find that it would improve their performances. And then, I don't know if you're a fan of The Sopranos or not.
Oh yeah, more of a
the
fan
guy
of
that-
Oz, but
Yeah, Oz is great. Big Pussy, Vinny Pastore.
Yep.
He was a nightclub owner back in 1981 when he came to see American Buffalo, and he waited for me to say hello after the play, and he invited my band up to play, and he paid us, I don't know, $600, which was more money than we ever dreamed of getting paid as musicians. And he's like, so Tom, well, my club's going under. I want to be an actor. What do you do? How do you become an actor? I always wanted to become an actor. How do you do it? I go, well, you have to get trained. And he said, by who? And I said, well, I can teach you if you want. So he would rent a room in an old flea bag hotel in Times Square, and he was my first student. And before I knew it, I had 30 people in a class and
Wow.
had to rent a big space. And I found I'm a good teacher. I'm a good teacher because, first of all, I love my students, like cherish them, and I push them. A good teacher is someone that pushes you past where you think you can go.
Yes. Agreed.
And I know how to do that. And not only that, the way that I teach in TGW Acting Studio is I direct you basically. I'm really not that interested if you use Strasberg, Meisner, or this. There are a million different techniques for process, as long as you get there.
Yeah.
I'm like the only acting teacher that you'll ever hear say, I don't care about your process. Let's try 6 different processes. I want results. I want you to work on this scene from this play as if you have to open 4 weeks from now on Broadway. How would you do it?
I mean, I imagine like different processes for different actors work differently. Like we're all,
That's
you know,
right.
because we're all different. Yeah. And your
There
goal is
is-
to get them to the end result no matter how they get there.
That's right. There is no method. You know, people talk about method. The only method there is the one that works.
Well, I was
You
going
know.
to say, you know, I taught kindergarten for 15 years, right? And every kid is totally different. Every kid's a different learner.
That's right.
You know,
That's
and
right.
so there's a curriculum, right, that every school follows, a district or whatever,
Mhm.
and they expect the kids to learn that curriculum. Well, how they get to where they get is up to the way they are, who
Yep.
they are. And, you know, I would have parents come up to me and say, well, why isn't my son reading like that kid? I said, because your son is not ready yet. When he's ready, it'll take off. It'll click. You know, his style, what gets him to connect, and when you're forced to do something that you don't want to do, you get turned off by it.
Yep.
You know, when you're forced to act a certain way and it's not working for you, you're not connecting with the character because that technique
That's
is just
right.
not clicking.
That's right.
But when you do find that thing, you take off from there, right?
Yeah. And I think it's really important that people learn how to deal with what's going on with them now. I just broke up with my girlfriend now, today. How can that inform the scene? I'm hungry. How can that inform the way I say, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I? Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, a dream of passion, could force so his soul to his own conceit, and that from all her working and his visage wand, tears in his eyes, distractions aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing? For Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? I'm showing off, but you get the idea.
No, you keep
I was
filling up all
completely
you-
engaged. Yeah.
like, wait, keep going.
Yeah. Don't stop.
It's a good idea to have an acting teacher that can act.
Yeah.
There's so many of these acting teachers that like never act. They don't know what it means to carry a movie on their back. They don't know what it means to be on Broadway. They don't know what it means to carry an episodic on your back. They don't know what it means to, do any of this stuff. And they have these schools all over the place. Like, how can you teach something you've never done? Would you want to fly in a plane with a guy that was never a pilot?
Nope. Nope.
I mean, for fuck's sake. There's one guy, I can't remember his name, but I think he's got 2 schools in LA. And so, because I was looking around at websites, how to make my own, and he was a boom mic holder on a movie. Now, what's this guy possibly know? I want to ask you what that would be like saying, "Hey Tom, my toilet needs to be fixed. Here's the tools. Go fix." I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Perfect analogy. Yeah, because I don't
I
touch
have
plumbing.
no idea. I don't know where to begin. I'm not a plumber.
Yeah, right. Calling a professional.
But people there are so, actors are so unfortunately desperate and gullible, and
Yeah.
I am too, susceptible, which is a key component to being a good actor, that they fall into these places where they just get robbed blind. And, I really make it a point to, I make them get their money's worth out of me. I mean, I haunt them. I'm the only acting teacher that won't charge for private lessons for my tuition paying students. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, Sunday, 2 o'clock, be here. Sunday, 3:30, you be here. Sunday, 7 o'clock, we'll work with you. If we have to do it FaceTime, okay. If we do it, come to my apartment, no extra charge. I'm not doing this to rob struggling actors.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to give them the confidence to be like, hey, I can do this. And I know how to make it good. That anybody can sit there and watch a scene and go, that really sucks. Okay. Then what? How do you fix it? How do you make it better?
Yeah.
Well, you can't say to be or not to be. It doesn't make any sense. It's to be or not to be. That is the question. There are words that must be emphasized. There's breathing, there's phrasing, there are things you can do to teach, to inform, to instruct, to inspire, to aspire to strive to become greater than you are. That's what teaching is all about. It's a performing arts profession. Whether you're teaching math or science or acting, you're performing. You better hold their attention, or let me tell you something. When you're a self-employed, and it's my own acting school, if I don't teach well, they don't come back, and my kids don't eat.
Right.
And so I'd better do a good job, a damn good job, or, like I say, I'd be pushing dirt.
Well, we as a society would be much better off if all teachers thought the way you did and tried to put it that much effort in. And I'm not saying that there aren't. There's a lot of teachers that do.
Yeah,
but
there
if
are a
all of
lot
them
of
did in every single category, we would be the best nation on the earth.
I've had some great teachers in my time. The great Robert Neff Williams was my voice and speech teacher. He's passed away. Stephen Aaron, Gene Lesser, all acting teachers at Juilliard. Peggy Freed, um, Liz Smith, the great voice teacher, the great Edith Warman Skinner, Tim Monick, top dialect coach in the country. These people were the best in the world, and I was a recalcitrant learner. Okay. I was about as interested in sitting in that classroom as jumping out a window. I was trying to find the hottest chick that I could get a date with, but despite against my own better judgment, I learned. I learned, and it is the people that can work with the most people are the people that work the most.
Amen.
I've had to put up with some real pieces of work in my time. People that are just downright irascible. I mean, difficult, sometimes for different reasons. But you have to, acting is the meeting of a crisis and dealing with it. You've got to meet the crisis, whatever it is, and deal with it. And we, as an audience, watch you. Now, there's a character going through a crisis, but you too, as an actor, are going through a crisis.
Yeah.
And who knows what it is? Maybe you didn't sleep last night. Maybe you're, like I say, you're breaking up with your girlfriend, or your kid is sick. I remember, you appreciate this as a parent. I got cast for the third time in Equalizer, the original Equalizer
I love that
TV
show.
show.
Yeah.
And we really needed the dough. Okay, I had a house, a mortgage, a kid, and my son got the croup. So they had to put him in the hospital in a tent to breathe. Then my wife at the time, Lisa, she got the flu really badly. So they put her in a bed right next to him. And I'm supposed to report to the set tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't abandon my wife and my kid.
No.
And Steve Lang, who's a friend of mine, he got the job. Oh, good for him. At least it went to a good person. But, that was the crisis. The crisis was I couldn't do the job. It's a shame. I was really struggling at that point. It was right after the actors, directors, writers strike all happened at once in the 80s, and work was hard to come by, like it is now. But you keep on fighting, man. You just keep on fighting.
And you find avenues too to expand yourself, obviously as a teacher now and musician
Yep,
and music, the world's always going to need music. The world's
always.
always. And thank God the world has you in it. And I'm not just, as I like to say, I'm not just glazing your donut. I'm being super sincere because
Thank
the
you.
fact that we connected and you agreed to come on the show, it's a real honor. I cannot tell you enough how much it means to have you on our show because and to have your story and your journey told to us because it's really inspiring. I think people are going to hear this and go, wow, I can do what I want to do and I can
Yeah,
make it happen.
that's exactly, and that's what I teach too, is if I can do it, then definitely you can do it. Because there is nothing about me that is in any way, shape, or form special, unique, or different than you.
Well, there is one difference though. I think Corey and I have it, and many of our friends and family have it, but not everybody does. Is the idea of forgiveness, acceptance.
That's
Forgiving
hard for people.
yourself,
Yeah,
especially.
It's hard. It's hard for people to do that.
it's hard for people to do that.
Yeah.
We're conditioned in a society of, success and failure. We're conditioned in a society where we're almost afraid to be successful because we're so conditioned to fail.
Yeah,
You know, you want to be an actor? What do you? Nothing's going to happen.
yeah,
I'm writing and directing and raising the money, as I mentioned, for my first feature film called Target. You're never going to be able to raise the money. It's a pandemic. I'm 85% there. Thank you very much.
yeah,
Nice.
And
Nice.
yeah.
if you do
Awesome.
the movie, nobody's going to want, nothing's going to happen with it. Okay. You know, what I say to those people is, yes, yes, you're right. It goes in one ear and right out the other. Yep, 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 yep. I've heard no so many times in 45 years as an actor. Nope, nope, nope. They don't want you. Nope, nope, nope. It's like getting kicked down the stairs for a living.
Yeah.
Rejection is my bread and butter. I mean, what are you going to say? What are you going to do to me? I haven't done to myself, first of
Right.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all you need is one yes.
That's right.
Hmm.
Just one person to say, yes,
Yep.
I want this guy. And then everything changes. And then all those people that said no are like, hey, 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 would you come into my office? I have hey, would you read my script? Hey, and you watch the tables turn with a vengeance. And there again, you have to be forgiving. You mustn't be, just because people don't get you or get it, forgive them and move on. Get past it. Life is about love, man. Find what you love. I don't care if it's a bird in the sky. I don't care if it's your pet mouse. I don't care if it's, my ex-wife and children sending me these flowers. Find
That's a beautiful
something
thing.
you love.
Yeah, that's a
I
beautiful thing.
love being loved.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel so fortunate.
Follow
And
your bliss. Follow the thing that makes you happy, and
yeah,
joy
that's
will
what
come out
Joseph
of it.
Campbell said, is follow your bliss. And he's right, but deeper than that, and I
Yeah.
think more metaphysical, is love your life.
Mm.
Nietzsche has an expression called amore fati, which means love your fate, love your life. And this guy had a tough life, let me
Mm.
tell you. I mean, the once and only time he ever had sex, he got syphilis.
That'll
He
turn
was
you off.
kicked in the chest by a horse with both hooves during a war they had volunteered for.
Wow.
He had dysentery. He suffered tremendously. And the last thing he was known to say in his life, as he was desperately trying to hobble on this walkway in the Swiss Alps where the air would hopefully cure his lungs, he said to his female companion, "Do you know what I love? Do you want to know what I love? I love the people that don't know."
Beautiful.
And that's a very metaphysical, philosophical concept, but also important for actors, because if you go into a scene and you have the lines all memorized, like they're printed on your forehead, here I go, I'm going to say my line now, then you're not going to be very interesting. Mickey Rourke was a great, still is a great actor, was a great film actor. You could never tell what he was going to say. Never seemed like lines. It seemed like just he didn't know. He allowed himself to not know and to discover during the course of a scene. And that's what made him, one of the things that made him so brilliant, that ability to not know. That's what I applaud. And that's what I teach too. I mean, of course you have to have an objective in a scene. That means you have to know what you want. You have to play actions. That means how do you want the person to feel, right? So if Zach just, stole my wallet and I see him the next day and I say, "Hey, Zach, how are you?" It's going to be very different than if, we were up all night watching a great movie.
Yeah.
Zach, how are you? As opposed to, Zach, how are you? Same words, same
Totally.
3 words,
Yeah.
Yep.
but they can make you feel completely different according to how they're delivered, according to what you affect them. So yeah, that's my acting school, and that's what I do.
Thomas G. Waits, cannot thank you enough, and thank you so much for being on the show, and we will be talking to you again really soon, for sure.
I hope so. Keep in touch, all right?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
All right,
you.
thank
Take care.
guys. It's really a pleasure.
Bye.
Shadow of the moon, and love's emptiness is here and it's gone too soon. Another star has fallen deep from the midnight sky. I sit here
Thank you for listening to Podcasting After Dark's exclusive interview series with Thomas G. Waits. And, as always, thank you for your support.
Imagine being one of the last people on Earth, being trapped alone with something not human, something always watching, something always waiting. What would you do? Where would you run? Where would you hide if you were haunted for 7 winters alone?
Podcasting After Dark presents 7 Winters Alone, a dystopian haunted house story by David Irons.
Available now in paperback and ebook.